Hey y'all, it's your girl Monét and welcome back to The Exchange Rate, a talk show where I've been surviving in the UK for a week with no ice. I'm falling apart. It's been awful. Today, our guests are queerer than Bob the Drag Queen's beard is long because we have two of the best drag queens in the world giving us a little Christmas spirit. BenDeLaCreme and Jinkx Monsoon are here. And later, everyone's favorite funny gal, Fortune Feimster, is also here. But first, let's get into the gig. Pada Blu-ray, Laura Spencer. D-Talk loves that. Girl, I'm not kidding. I know I talk about this a lot and it's like a thing. So Patty and I are in this hotel Airbnb apartment situation and they're nice apartments, whatever, but there's no ice. And there's literally no ice everywhere. I've gone to McDonald's and McDonald's doesn't have ice. I went to KFC and I get my iced tea. I'm like, can I have some ice? They're like, oh no, sorry love, we don't have ice here. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have ice? And then they try to chuck it up to COVID. I'm like, bitch, what are you saying? Like COVID fucking lives in the ice? I just don't understand. And it is very, very, very annoying. Like, it's very annoying. And the fact that they're attributing not having ice to COVID, but motherfuckers is walking around here with no masks on. Like, y'all, I'm telling y'all, in New York City, realistically, I would say about 90% of people have masks on. You know what I mean? You see someone every now and then that doesn't have a mask on because there's some hood dude on the, you know, being shady on the, whatever it is. Like in New York City, about 90% of people have masks on. Here in the UK, I would say it's less than 20%. Like you walk around and like people just are just not wearing face coverings or masks. And coming from New York, it's a little like crazy to see. I remember when we went to Work the World Asia, I remember looking around like, well, everybody got masks on, this is so crazy. But now I'm feeling that brain. When I don't see someone with a mask on, I'm like, what is wrong with you? So, yeah, that's where we're at with the masks and the ice. And I also can't find black tea. Isn't that so crazy? I'm in the UK and I can't find black tea. And maybe because I don't identify with the fancy teas, but I mean, green tea is like clearly labeled and Earl Grey tea and breakfast English muffin tea and all this tea is like labeled. But I'm like, where is the black tea? Like, I just cannot find black tea. Maybe, I think it might be a culture thing. They just call it something else and I don't know it's that. So if you are watching this, you're from the UK and you know what the tea is called here, that's black, let me know. Because I'm basic. In New York, I get Lipton, cheap, basic ass black tea and I love it. So if you know what the English version of that is, please holla at me in the DMs and let me know, or in the comments when I check my DMs and let me know. Stories this time. Girl. As you know, celebrities are always doing shit. Shit is always popping off in the ether, and this week is no different with Henrietta Styles. Which, have you heard about this thing, Larry Stilson? So it's this whole crazy like internet fan fiction about how Harry Styles and Larry something, I forget his last, Stylinson or something like that, or Linson, they were One Direction. They were in One Direction together, and this whole like fan theory fiction thing that they were really a couple. And there's this video that popped up on my TikTok of them like sitting somewhere. Zayn Malik is sitting like closest to camera. Harry's here and Larry guy's here, and Harry's taking his finger. He's like rubbing on his arm. The guy looks back at him and then he moves his arm back. But apparently they weren't allowed to be like back then. You know, they were younger and they're in this like this boy band group that, you know, there's probably so much pressure for them to be straight and not, you know, all that shit, you know? Like just how Lance Bass never came out because of NSYNC. But yeah, there's this whole like crazy fan fiction about how like they were a couple and this and the other. And it's honestly really, really, really interesting. But that's how we're talking about Harry today. Harry is breaking ground. He's the first cis male on the cover of American Vogue. I don't know if it's Vogue internationally in the world, but I know of him, he's the first male on American Vogue ever, and it's fierce. He's adorned in this really beautiful periwinkle Gucci dress gown moment, which is kind of cute. I will look cute in that. and it's like Gucci blazer, and he looks great. And as far as representation goes, there are so many articles about how this is fierce. We love it, we love it, we love it, we love it. Let's get some other queer folk. And like, I agree, yes, let's get more queer folk, but this is still a major victory for people under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella. Honestly, there are so many rappers and artists that wear dresses these days, like Young Jock, or I don't know all of them, but a lot of the rappers these days, like they're in the music videos. I mean, Bad Bunny was in full drag regalia, human hair unit, the breastplate that goes up to here. You know those James Manfield's breastplates that are up here? They're like a t-shirt. Like he like nails, everything. So a lot of artists are blurring the lines of gender, and I think it's great. But of course, literally my brain can't process it. And the right wing has a very big issue with this. Candace Owens, y'all know her, that ridiculous woman who literally says the craziest shit. And I want to be super real with y'all. Sometimes Candace Owens does have valid points and like it's very like in a large scale thing, like a very minuscule part of it is like, okay, there's some truth there. I can see what that is. But then she just muddies it up with all of these ridiculous and perfunctory like other thoughts, and it really drives me crazy because you can tell she's a very intelligent woman, but she's just off her rocker. She had to say this about Harry. There is no society that can survive without strong men. The steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. So men embracing their femininity is an attack on masculinity. Like, it's really not. Like, I don't understand this crazy thing that everything has to be black and white, like that we can't flow through gender freely, and that is a problem. She also went on this whole rant about how the East is looking at this and they're judging us and they're seeing us as weak. I'm like, who gives a fuck what these people in whatever, like, let them stick to their own antiquated views about gender. Like, that's their problem. I'm like, if we're being progressive and if we're embracing this culture, I mean, you look at people in Europe. What was that term that used to float around in the early 2000s? Everyone used to say it all the time. Something with an M.
Metro?
Metro. Remember when Metro said, people were like, guys getting manicures and guys
doing their hair.
That, like, this is too much. And I think that this is just on the way to that. In a few years, hopefully, is there lipstick on my teeth?
Mm-hmm.
In a decade or two, I know we won't be in this place anymore. It's just that we have to get over this hump. But honestly, you just can't pay attention to these right-wing folk. Like, they are so institutionalized in their, like, brainwashing. Like, they really think that a man wearing a dress is literally gonna crumble society and is gonna crumble the earth on which they stand. And honestly, that level of delusion is inspiring. Like, I strive to be, I just can't be that delusional. Like, I wish I could think that in my brain, but my brain literally has too much common fucking sense to believe and think things that way. What? And Ben Shapiro had to say too, which y'all know me, I got into a whole thing with Ben Shapiro after the election, like a night after the election or 2 nights afterwards. I tweeted this thing how, like, all Trump supporters are like monsters, like these people are like evil, whatever. And I said what I said, I still meant it. If you don't like it, then don't watch the show. And bitch, I don't know how my tweet made it to right-wing media. Girl, they were sounding off. They were coming at me so crazy, and I loved it tastes so good. It was so good, so good. So forget these people. Yeah, congrats, Harry. You look fierce. I think that this is good work, y'all. This is good work, LGBTQIA plus team. Work. Leave Britney alone. Now, I wanted to cover this story because honestly, I'm so perplexed by the Free Britney movement. I'm not too sure of all of the details. Like, it just goes so deep. Like, there's so much to break down, and we kind of have a recent timeline just for all those, because I'm someone who's really interested in it too, because this is not something I've ever divulged. I think I talked about it on the podcast like once a long time ago, sitting around with me and Bob. But growing up, y'all, I was a massive Britney Spears fan. Up until her 4th album, I had everything that Britney Spears released. I got it. Like all the CDs, all the posters, all the. She had this book, Crossroads, the movie Crossroads, with Britney Spears and Zoe Saldana, and Pennsylvania from Orange Is the New Black. What is her name?
Oh, Peyton. No, she's a Manning, but not
yeah.
Manning.
Not Peyton Manning, a football player. Peyton Manning, a football player, was in Crossroads. He played the third girl. Anyway, we'll find out. Or her. Crossroads was like my favorite movie. Now, I know Crossroads was not groundbreaking in acting. I know it was not that fierce, but I just loved Britney so much. Like, I loved Worshipped at the Church of Britney Spears. Like Taryn Manning. I love that movie. And yeah, so and kind of like, I think my sophomore, junior year of high school, I kind of fell out of that love, and I developed other people like Rihanna and like the Beyoncés. Like I started to fall in line with that, but I still love Britney. I just was not as a mass. Like, I was such a big fan. Like, I had to buy Oops, I Did It Again and Britney. I had to buy both of those albums. I had to buy Oops, I Did It Again 3 times and Britney twice because I listened to it so much. The CD was so scratched, it literally would not play. Which was so crazy that when you play CD so much, it just started to scratch. What the fuck? That's how to get you. That's how to get your money. Britney Spears has not legally controlled her life and like herself financially or anything for the past 12 years. I did not know it was that long ago. I thought it was like 3 years ago. I did not realize it was so long. 12 years. It was after her breakdown in 2008. That's when she entered the conservatorship, which if you don't know what a conservatorship is, it is a legal guardianship typically enacted for those incapable of making their own decisions. And it was approved by the courts in 2008 after the big break. So it was awarded to her dad, and up to in mid 2019, her dad got into this crazy altercation with Britney's son, Sean Federline. I think which are her sons twins? No, right?
No,
they're not twins. So. They were just born really close together.
Yeah, they were.
Where he broke into their house and he like shook him up like physically. Not like mentally shook him up. I think he like physically like put hands on him and like shook him. Like, so after that happened, they deemed Jamie Spears, Britney's dad, not suitable to be a conservator anymore. So it was awarded to a woman named Jody Montgomery. This is so crazy but Jody Montgomery, that's like her business. Her business is basically doing conservatorships. And yeah, in 2018, Britney was put under 5150 psychiatric hold, which is because she refused to surrender her sons to the police. And her dad is saying that she has early onset dementia, which is why she needs to be under the conservatorship because she has very erratic behavior. And like, I get it that we all are concerned. Everyone's like, free Britney. But I feel like there may be some things that her family knows that we don't. Because you have to think her sister, Jamie Lynn, and her mom, like, they're still connected to Britney. And the fact that, I know that Britney wants Jamie, her sister, to have conservatorship over her. But I just feel like there must be some things that just like family secrets and family things that we don't know that are going on with Britney. You have to think, Britney's one of those kids from so super young, and I know you have Justin Timberlake is fine, and Christina is fine, and Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, all these kids who have been doing it for so long, like they seem to be fine, but everyone handles stress and does things differently. So I just feel like there are just things that we don't know. Because why on earth would a judge approve a conservatorship if there was not a reason to? And if you are a judge and you at work and like the Britney Spears. Because I'm imagining it's like a folder, like a manila folder, like this thick, just like all the paperwork, all the documents. If this envelope comes across your desk, you're like, oh bitch, like you're not just making like flippant decisions. You're like really looking into it. So I feel like that's something that we really, really, really don't know. The Britney campaign picked up steam shortly after Britneygram, and was a podcast focused on her conservatorship. Like, so it was a podcast dedicated to following the conservatorship, and it played an anonymous voicemail of someone who claimed to be an ex-paralegal for the firm handling the case, saying that Britney's father forced her into a mental health facility last year, which would contradict the statements that her treatment was voluntary, because they're saying that she voluntarily did all this stuff, but they're saying her dad forced her into it. And if Britney is not in her right wits about herself, she can't handle herself physically, like, or mentally, like, I get why her dad But then again, parents are fucked up, and maybe the dad just wants the money. I'm like, y'all, I don't have the answers. I'm just really intrigued in this. And after this, honestly, tonight I want to do a whole video on the YouTube channel breaking it down and getting someone, because I wanted to know like all the nitty gritty details about it. Because I'm really concerned about Britney. I love Britney. Who's I did? Oh, he's a lover. He was so good. Britney Spears has requested that her mother be a part of the conservatorship, as she truly believes she has the best interest in mind, and that she would have more financial autonomy if her mother were involved. But why isn't her mom? Maybe her mom is pursuing it to get it, but she keeps on getting denied. Also, imagine the past 5 years, Britney Spears has been in Las Vegas, or past 6 years. She's done like 3 world tours. Like, imagine she in the past 5 years, Britney has allegedly made $412 million. So imagine making all this money and doing all this work, but your dad is saying that you're not suitable to do this work, but he's like sending you out there to do these tours and do Las Vegas and do these albums to make money. You know what I mean? So just all doesn't make sense. It's all super weird. But the long and short of this is that her dad still has the conservatorship over her after the recent court case. And I'm sure there are going to be trials happening further. So we'll let y'all know when any major breaks happen about Britney. But
well, because of that, hasn't she refused to start? She's refused to continue performing until all of it's settled.
She did. She said that.
I think.
Patty over here making unsubstantiated claims. So if y'all mad at him, that's him. He just said that.
Speculating. I feel like I read that somewhere. That like part.
You read that? I'm gonna read you. Okay. The last story we're going to talk about is the People Choice Awards. The People Choice Awards was this past weekend, and because of COVID, I feel like I have no wherewithal when the awards are. Like, I missed the Billboard Awards. We talk about it here, but like I used to like watch these. Like, I'd watch them online, I'd watch them on my TV, or I would DVR them. But I had no idea when that happened. The People Choice Awards happened apparently, and it was a very good night for some people. Gaga and Justin Bieber were the most nominated male and female artists with 7 noms each. Remember what's his name? Take mine on the Old Town Road. Lil Nas X had like 13 for the Billboard Music Awards. Jennifer Lopez took home the Icon Award. Woohoo! Tyler Perry. I did not. What I forgot is that the People Choice Awards is not just music. It's like for everything. It's like for Instagram. It's for like everything. Tyler Perry received the People's Choice Champion Award, and Tracy Ellis Ross accepted the Fashion Icon Award. This is not shade. I love Tracy Ross. I didn't realize she was big in like the fashion game. Did y'all know that? I mean, I feel like I don't see her a lot on fashion things. That's where my brain goes. When I think of Tracy Ross, I think Daughter Diana. I think Really Funny. I think Girlfriends. I feel actress and like that. I don't go in like a fashion realm, but go off. Grey's Anatomy and Helen Pompeo won like 3 awards. I'm like, Grey's Anatomy is still winning shit. They're on like season 94. It is crazy. Shonda Rhimes is making it rain on these hoes.
Did you say Helen?
Ellen Pompeo. I said Ellen.
It sounded like you said Helen.
No, I said Ellen Pompeo. They won 3 awards, and the big awards of the night, which are Male and Female Artist of the Year, went to Justin Bieber, and guess who? Guess.
Lady Gaga?
No, Ariana.
Oh.
Ariana Grande won.
They were the most nominated.
Yeah, they were the most nominated. It means they were the most winning. Ariana Grande won Female Artist of the Year. Which I'm like, really?
You know what also is a really... Tyler Perry's production company is on the do not work list for the union.
Why?
I don't know, but I just saw it recently.
That is racist as hell.
For like stage productions, it's on the do not... Well, probably because his productions aren't union.
They're not?
Probably not. His stage productions.
And BTS, the K-pop group. I didn't get an exact number, but they seem to like get a lot of shit. They had the best song they got the best song award for 2022. I guess it's a song. They got the best group song of 2020, and they got the best music video 2020. So BTS, I'm not really listening to them. I heard their fears. but I have not really listened to them. Some fashions that were really serving were J-Lo. J-Lo, like, I love this look. She looks gorgeous, but it's giving me very Christmas tree skirts. Patty has this costume. He makes fun of me that looks like a Christmas tree skirt pictured here. And J-Lo is literally doing that, but two of them. One on the top, one on the bottom. It's a little weird. Tiffany Haddish, she cut her hair. She always look gorgeous, but this is such a serve. And this dress really, she looks incredible. And Leslie Jones, look at her all in black, girl. She got that supermarket. Well, I mean, Leslie Jones is a multimillionaire. She's been on SNL for years. But I'm saying she just looks really good and delicious. And this is a serve. Someone I was not a fan of was Lauren Ash. It's a no for me. And Erin Lim. Girl, I love you though. And those are the stories for this week. Yes, God, yes, Mama, thank you, ma'am. Our first guests, honestly, are two of my favorite drag queens in the world because now that there are over 250 of us, quote-unquote, Rue girls, talent is going to be the thing that's going to keep you booked, busy, and blessed, and these hoes stay working. Please welcome two of the most talented drag queens in the Western Hemisphere of America, BenDeLaCreme and Jinkx Monsoon.
Thank you for your marvelous introduction.
Hey, how are y'all doing? Y'all look gorgeous.
You do.
Yeah, you look.
Thank you.
And it's really fun to be talking with you through the Digiverse, through the internet. You've never guessed that in this lovely setup, we're actually just in BenDeLaCreme's basement right now.
Don't give away.
I love that y'all have the whole step and repeat. Y'all have the poster. See, this is what I'm talking about. These girls, y'all are just so professional. If it was me, y'all know it would be me. I'm literally sitting on a couch with shorts on and a t-shirt, and y'all are in full regalia in like an act. I feel like y'all are on like some fierce movie set thing. Like work.
Look at those gazungas under that t-shirt, though. That really brings.
Thank you. Wait, so have y'all been quarantining together? Have y'all been have you guys been coronafying together, or did you guys just reunite for the purposes of the tour for your show?
Well, we spent the bulk of the last few months together. We were quarantining together we quarantined separately for like 2 weeks, then we quarantined together for 2 weeks in Seattle before we started filming. So yeah, we've shared a COVID bubble for most of the summer.
Yeah, we don't take it lightly. We're both overthinkers and full of anxiety and
riddled
with anxiety. And for one, that anxiety is serving a purpose and keeping us safe and conscious to every little decision we make in this tumultuous time.
Now, Jinkx and Ben, you guys have been doing your Christmas act together for I want to say 4 years. In my brain, I feel like I've seen the commercials and the really dope numbers for 4 years now. But how long have y'all actually been doing it together?
Feels like it's been forever, but it's actually this would have been our third year on the road.
Okay.
We've actually been doing Christmas stuff together for about a decade. And the two-person show we launched 3 years ago. But before that, I mean, we've shared Christmas stages for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
When we're in either of our eyes.
And was it because, so obviously you guys are very good drag since you guys are working together for a long time, but why Christmas? There are so many other holidays. Y'all could have done Halloween, y'all could have done a Valentine's show. Why a Christmas show?
I think it's because Christmas is the most deeply traumatic that we as a community have to kind of lick our wounds together.
Yeah, and it's very decidedly a holiday show. It's Christmas heavy. There's no denying that, because that's what we know. So it's what we talk about. But it's the time of year that I think it's a time of year that our mission statement as artists directly deals with, which is creating something that's for queer people, by queer people, to combat a heteronormative time of year and to give us our own space and our own way to celebrate something that generally doesn't invite us in too willingly or readily.
Yeah, I feel you. And then going into this new experience, Dela, you directed the whole Christmas special. What was it like being in the director's chair and also being an actor in this in the Christmas special?
It was an endeavor. It was definitely one of the hardest things I've ever taken on, but it was also super satisfying. You know, I mean, I've been directing theater for many, many years, but film is really its own beast. And I do feel like, you know, it's the 14 years of directing and producing that kind of, I'm so grateful that I had those in the theater world, because it is just sort of a nonstop, you know, you're shifting gears from behind the camera to in front of the camera. But you know, we're both so passionate about this project, and it was such a pleasure to get to bust out of COVID prison in order to make some art that it was that kind of I think joyous mania that fueled the process.
And Jinkx, how was it being directed by your best friend, your homegirl? Because I know if Bob was gonna be, even though I trust Bob because Bob is such a great artist, I would be always have like a little side eye with some decisions. But how was it being directed by Dela in the special?
It was really great. You know, I could be catty and I could make a bunch of jokes right now. But it was really an enjoyable experience because of what you mentioned. There's so much trust here. You know, when we call each other sisters, it's not just like a cute Kiki name. You know, it's like it's true. We're chosen family for each other at this point. So I don't think I had any big eye roll moments. I think whenever we disagreed, we just talked about it to death until one of us relented, you know?
Giving up is a big part of the process.
There a telepathy that we've honed in on over this decade of working together. So I think, you know, I think Dela, if anything, was hyper conscious and overcompensating for the idea of directing her drag sister. So was probably even more gracious than she needed to be sometimes. Like sometimes she could have totally just said, nope, I'm the director and you got to do what I say, but she never did that.
It's coming.
Unless she tricked me and I didn't notice.
I got all my generosity out of my system, so.
Well, I mean, probably one of the most generous things in Drag Race history is you sending yourself home, eliminating yourself from a crown. Literally you are the passion of the Christ for Drag Race. Work, Dela.
That's the other reason we have to do Christmas. It's my birthday.
So now this is it a Christmas, like, so are there shorts and then interspliced with songs, or like what is the setup? Because obviously before they've been theater stage shows, but are these shorts and then songs, or how is it all working together?
The best way to describe it is we wrote a movie and we filmed a movie because I think you know, like it's not a wrong assumption to imagine that what we did was created a variety show of our best numbers, because that is kind of how we went into this project, thinking we were going to do that, just do a showcase of our best holiday themed numbers and keep it really simple. But if there's one thing neither of us do, it's anything simply. So we kind of decided early on, if we're going to make a movie, we're going to make a movie. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a movie that just happens to star two drag queens, and it's set at the most traumatizing time of year.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's essentially we wanted to pay homage to all those classic Christmas specials that you see over and over again. You know, Judy Garland Christmas specials, of course, has a special place in my heart. And then all the way through Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas special, which is one of my all-time favorites. But, you know, I think reclaiming that genre for the queer community felt really, not that Pee-wee's Playhouse isn't super queer, but reclaiming for the queer community felt really joyous. And so we basically sort of made a film about Jinkx and Dela trying to put on a Christmas special. So it sort of starts out presenting as that kind of variety show, but then we move into really a plot that's more about our relationship and our relationships to tradition, but it's all told through that campy world.
And we built it off of the foundation of wonderful drag movies written and produced and starring drag queens before us. And I'm thinking specifically like Girls Will Be Girls with Farley Jean Merman, Coco Peru, and Jack Plotnick.
Anything Charles Busch.
Anything Charles Busch. And we're not the first drag queens to create a feature film. Peaches Christ with All About Evil. Lots of these people are now like our friends and colleagues, and that's the surreal thing, is watching those movies when I was a tiny child, in case any of those old bitches are watching this. When I watched it as a very young person, it's really happy, a young adult who's doing my own version of that kind of thing with someone I collaborate with very well.
And also it was really amazing in terms of that sort of canon that we come from. We had a really amazing cast of thousands, 13s, but it was a dance ensemble. We had a wonderful cast, but specifically, it was a dream to have Farley Jean Merman play the voice of my dead grandmother. And she is, a drag legend that has just inspired me so much. So, obviously a character from Girls Will Be Girls. So that was a wonderful way to, I think, like tie in that whole history.
When y'all mention all the drag, like the really iconic drag centered movies, thank you for not mentioning Hurricane Bianca, because people be trying to act like that shit was good, and let's all call a spade and a jack mama. It was serviceable. I'm kidding.
I will say, I really, really enjoyed Hurricane Bianca too. And so rarely is a sequel better than the first one, but I really felt like Hurricane Bianca 2 leaned into, we don't have to spend this whole interview paying lip service to Bianca and her film crew. I really enjoyed Hurricane Bianca 2.
The point is she set a low bar with the first one. So I will say, okay, this is not me saying this is me quoting Peaches Christ, but when we started talking about a film and I was like, Peaches, I know this is going to be crazy. Like, should we dive in and do this whole thing? Because, she's directed film as well as knows this very well. And she was like, it's totally insane, but you can absolutely do it. All you have to do is make something better than Hurricane Bianca.
Well, we can kiki like this, but next week you're going to have Bianca on to talk about Hurricane Bianca 3, and you'll be saying the same thing about our film.
She's richer than all of us. She could buy and sell me.
Jinkx, I would never do that. Never. No, but going back to what you guys said before about movies for queer folk. 100%. Especially now that the election has had a favorable, well, for us, result. I mean, some people don't like the results, but that's their problem. It seems like the queer community is still a bit under attack, and we see it right now with the Vogue recent cover for Harry Styles. Harry Styles is the first male on the cover of Vogue, adorned in this beautiful Gucci gown dress and a Gucci tuxedo jacket. And of course, the left is attacking him, coming for him like they do. What are your thoughts on it, and how do we press forward as a community? I mean, the right. Sorry, I said left, the right.
They're really looking for a fight anywhere they can find one, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, conservatives, I'm done mincing words. I think there was a time in my life where I really had room for everyone. And, a lot of people in the last 4 years have revealed themselves to be racist, misogynist, queerphobic, transphobic assholes. And I'm sick of calling them anything but that. If you're a bigot, I'm going to call you a bigot. There's no mincing words anymore. The one good thing about Trump's presidency is everyone came out of hiding. So now we know who the bigots are. Mm-hmm. So if you have a problem with a man wearing a dress on the cover of Vogue, get the fuck out. We don't have time for that anymore. I also want to acknowledge, someone I really admire who's very well spoken on a wonderfully well spoken trans activist who always puts things in a way that I wish I could describe it as eloquently is Alok, and I'm probably ruining their last name, but Alok Vaid Menon wrote a whole thing about the Harry Styles piece about how we as queer people have the right to feel two ways about it at the same time. Like we can be really excited that such a well-known male celebrity is breaking gender boundaries and breaking down the gender binary in such a big way. And we can also feel a little like, okay, but queer trans femme people of color have been doing that for a long time, and they're not on the cover of Vogue. So it's a lot, At the end of the day, it's just cool that it's happening, and anyone who has a problem with it can fuck off.
It's true. I mean, we wouldn't, the flip side of making the kind of progress that we're making is that we have to listen to these idiots comment on it. But it's, part of, I think what it's important to kind of remember is like, they were always there. They weren't complaining about shit because shit wasn't happening, and now it's happening. And that's, ultimately what's going to get us where we need to go. And thank God it seems like we're finally on a better path, or whoever, I don't know. Think democracy.
So I have my own thoughts about how you guys spend the holidays, but do you guys spend the holidays together? Because you guys, I know, are a really close drag family, or are y'all like in your own separate cocoons? I know for me, I don't want to see nobody on Christmas or Thanksgiving. I like to be alone and eat massive amounts of food in private. How are y'all spending the holiday season this year?
I enjoy eating massive amounts of food in public, personally.
I gotta say, I'm a very social person. I'm an introverted extrovert, like I really like my safe little bubble, even though I'm also, a very sociable person. But I love quarantine for the fact that I get to live the way I choose, which is as a hermit at home playing video games by myself, and I don't have to feel bad about it anymore. In fact, that's what we're supposed to do. So the holidays this year are just going to be me and my housemates eating and watching movies, which is, the way God intended the holidays to be spent.
Yeah, I've spent Christmas on stage for the last 14 years, and part of that was, I've always done Christmas Eve. As part of that was like to find a way to enjoy Christmas and like an excuse not to go home, because I've never, it's like that has been a great boon for me. But it's really, it's obviously hard that we're going to have to shift that this year. But I think having this film feels like a really great sort of substitute for that. And actually, we're going to be, my partner and I, and a few friends are going to be in Palm Springs doing a drive-in screening of the film. You're invited. You
can come if you want.
But yes, we'll be doing that, which I think is sort of the next best thing to performing on Christmas.
100%. Listen, tell us where will it be streaming? What date? How can we get it? How can we watch this special? I'm not kidding. I'm really gonna be watching it because y'all are both great actors. Y'all are really funny. I think it's gonna be really dope. I'm excited. Where can we find?
Well, you can go to JinkxMonsoon to stream it there. Beginning December 1st is our release date. And then we also are doing multiple partnerships with Outfest and various drive-in theaters around the country. And so all of the information about that and any special online events, you can find it all at JinkxMonsoon.
And that's JINKX. I paid extra for the K, so you have to use it.
Or else will.
If you watch the movie and you're in love with all the original music we created between the two of us and with Major Scales and our music director, Keith Harrison, we will also have a digital album available on December 11th.
It dropped 11th.
Yeah.
Y'all better fucking do it. Yo, I'm telling y'all, this is how you do it. Not the movie and the album and all the things. Y'all better work. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for stopping by the Exchanger and talking to us about this amazing Christmas special. If y'all want to catch a special, the link is below. Make sure you go to JinkxMonsoonBenDeLaCreme.com.
Yeah, I was generous. I let her go first.
Yeah, Jinkx.
Thank y'all, ladies, and Merry Christmas, Hana Kwanzaa to both of y'all.
Thank you, you
Monet.
too.
Love you, miss you.
Love you, love you, love you. Fortune favoring the brave couldn't ring truer for our next guest. With comedy, talent, and a fierce wit, she stays shitting on hoes. Let's welcome the very funny Fortune Feimster.
What's up, Monét X Change?
Hey, Fortune, how are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm upset that it is digital, but one day I feel like we will be in each other's space and we can revel in that.
I hope so. I would love nothing more than to hang out with you.
Now, before we started filming, I was telling you, this wallpaper behind you is the moment. It is the fiercest thing I've seen all day, and I want a gown made out of it.
Oh, that means so much coming from you because it's the only cool thing in my house. The rest of my house looks like an old lady decorated it. So, yes, cool points.
Before we start, congratulations on your amazing COVID nuptials. Congratulations to you and your wife. How was it? Was it everything you wanted it to be? Tell me all about it.
Well, we had originally planned to have a regular wedding, with friends, family, and whatnot. And then the Supreme Court situation happened, and we got really nervous, not knowing where gay rights, the marriage equality stood, and gay rights. And we just kind of decided that we were just gonna do it. We planned it in like 2 weeks, and
wow.
yeah, we just rented an Airbnb by the beach. We invited a couple of our best friends. They got COVID tests, and we did it. We got married, and our parents zoomed in, so it wasn't what we planned.
I love that.
But it ended up being really cool.
I'm not joking. I've literally had grinder dates on the docket for longer than 2 weeks. So the fact that you planned a whole wedding in 2 weeks is insane to me. Did you plan or did your wife plan?
She did it because she pretty much plans everything in her life. And if it were up to me, we would have, been in a bowling alley eating nachos.
That could be kind of fierce though. Honestly, I'm not against that. That could be lit.
She at least made it classy. I picked the photographer who did a great job. She captured this one shot of us, the very last shot of the day. We went down by the ocean for these pictures, and a giant wave crashed on top of us. But our photographer got all of it happening.
In your wedding clothes? No!
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh no, for my big gay wedding, I plan on being in a full-on gown. If a wave crashed into me in my gown, I would literally kill people. Like literally murder people. That sounds
for a comedian though, it was kind of like the most perfect way to end the day.
Now, I fell in love with Fortune Feimster on Chelsea lately, and even more so when you did Chelsea and all of your other projects. But I was watching some interviews of you, and I was like, oh my god, only Fortune could be working on Netflix and have a radio show called Netflix is a Joke. Please, how were you not like, I will never work here again? You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do Netflix is a joke.
Yeah, well, that's their own branding term.
It's theirs. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I'm not trying to mess with Netflix. I'm like,
oh my god.
they pay my bills, so I love them. But I do a radio show for them on Sirius XM where we just interview comedians every morning.
I love that. Speaking of comedy, your new Netflix special is out. Your new comedy special is out. It came out at the beginning of this year, correct?
Yeah, it's called Sweet and Salty. It's a 1 hour special, just kind of about my life growing up in the South. Not knowing I was a gay lady, which is a mystery to me. How it took me so long to figure it out, and then just some fun stories from childhood and just that journey of figuring out who I was.
And how did you fall into comedy? Because I know that your trajectory, you didn't start like, I want to do this thing. You kind of fell into it. Talk to us about your journey to get to where you are with comedy.
Yeah, I moved to Los Angeles to work as an assistant for an actress, and I learned very quickly that I sucked at being an assistant to an actress, and it's not what I wanted to do. I had grown up watching like Saturday Night Live and all that, all those silly characters, but I never knew you could make a living at it, and I just was like, how do I get around more people like that? And I found out about
Yeah.
this improv school in LA called the Groundlings, and I just joined it to honestly to just make friends, because LA can get lonely, especially when
Uh-huh.
you're new to the city. So I joined as a hobby, and it just sort of grew into this passion. And then eventually I was broke for a long time, but then then eventually started getting paid.
And wait, and then so for those who don't know, Groundlings is like, it's like the West Coast, and then on the East Coast you have Upright Citizens, yeah?
Yeah, Upright Citizens Brigade, Second City in Chicago, just these different
Yeah.
schools that sort of filter comedians through, and it's a really great program.
Yeah, yeah. And then you also have your new movie Chick Fight out. It was streaming digitally. Have you, Fortune, I cannot picture you. You don't strike me as a fighter. Are you a fighter?
I'm a lover. I'm a lover,
A
Monet.
lover.
I
Yeah,
am
you're a
not a
lover.
fighter. Yeah, it's Chick Fight. It's on digital on demand. It's this fun, silly movie. It's like it's a female Fight Club. It's not based on the Fight Club
Yeah.
movie because you can't top Brad Pitt. But
So
it's
good.
it's a movie with a bunch of women who have a Fight Club, and they made me the referee, probably because the stunt coordinator asked me to send a video just showing like what moves I knew. And I was like, doing this, and my my wife was laughing at me filming this. I'm like, this isn't supposed to be funny. I'm supposed to be like tough. And she couldn't stop laughing, so I became the referee.
Well, honestly, I just don't. A lot of my, well, first of all, I believe that lesbians are the super species. You guys are queer and you guys are female. Like, you literally have the best parts of everything ever. Um, but a lot of my lesbian friends are all really nice people, and they're not fighters. And a friend was telling me this. Do you know, in the entire United States of America, there are only 15 lesbian bars in the entire U.S. 1-5.
I saw an article on that and it blew my mind. I was like, what? I
I
think it's because
know.
lesbians tend to be homebodies. Like they go out to the bars to try to meet somebody. And then as soon as they meet somebody, they're like, all right, we're going to hang out on the couch and eat ice cream, watch Netflix. And so, but I feel like with gay men, uh, it's different.
Girl.
Like they meet someone and then they go to the bars together. So I feel like we're doing a disservice by coupling up, because then we don't go to the gay bar anymore.
Gay men, they meet somebody and to go to the bar with, and then they leave with somebody else. Gay men are a fucking mess. God,
Lesbians
why
are
was I
like,
cursed?
we're moving in together, right?
Now you mentioned this a little bit before, but you are born and raised in North Carolina, North Kakalaki. That's how we used to call it when I
Kakalaki.
lived in North Kakalaki. How does it feel to be? Well, this election cycle, you guys were a battleground state. I mean, Trump
I
ended up winning,
know.
and it stayed red. But how does it feel to be, part of the legacy of a red state, for lack of a better word? I don't want to say legacy, but you know what I mean.
Right. Well, North Carolina's always been interesting because they flip back and forth quite a bit. A lot
Oh,
of
I didn't know
people,
that.
yeah, or they used to. They've been red the last a little while, but when I was growing up, it was blue quite a bit. One of the
Okay.
biggest, one of the most popular senators was John Edwards, and then he got in trouble
Yeah.
for messing around. But I mean, he was a big Democrat, and so the state was fairly Democrat forward for a long time. But then over the years, it's gotten a bit more conservative. But North Carolina is weird because it has pockets of like very very liberal cities and then very very conservative places. So
Right.
I think that's why it keeps coming up to so close.
Yeah.
But we hopefully we'll tip back to blue at some point.
I believe it. I believe in the powers of the liberals that North Carolina will become blue again.
They have a Democrat governor, so that's why it's all you never know there. It's that's why it is a battleground state. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you and so I'm sure you've been in LA for so long now, so you don't absentee to North Carolina. You vote in LA. Yeah.
I vote in LA where it's the same every.
I know. New York too. I'm like, child, I'm about to put my address in Oklahoma or something so I can vote in Oklahoma or be one of those. What was it? 10,000 people that made Georgia go blue. That's so crazy.
Very small. Yeah, but it's an interesting time. There's just a lot of change, and hopefully we get some good stuff coming. Because 2020, we're done.
We're done with her. She's drunk. Go home, girl. You're drunk. Go home.
Go home. Get your shoes. Put your shoes on. Come on, 2020.
Put your shoes on. Going into the holiday season real quick before we say bye. How are you and your new wife spending Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Well, that's what's such a trip about this year, because we didn't get to see our families for our wedding, and normally we'd be going home for the holidays and could celebrate with them then, but my parents are older, and and Jax is just not really feeling traveling during the holidays, so we're just gonna stay home and have our first low key just us holiday.
I love that. Listen, that sounds literally perfect to me.
Because we're not those kind of lesbians. We are not handy. We don't know how to cook. We're gonna find a restaurant and order food.
I'm the type of bitch, when I go to the restaurant and we're friends, girl, I will order 2 of the appetizers or 2 of the entrees, and we'll split and share. Because people be acting like it. I'm like, if you have extras, mama, take it home. You can heat it up in the microwave for when you get hungry again at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. What's the tea?
For sure. I'm all about it. That's the best part about having somebody, is that I go to the menu going, okay, you need to order that. I'm going to order this. You get to divide and conquer.
Yes, that is me. Or I will book a ticket I will go to a restaurant by myself, and I will be on the phone and be like, what you wanted? You wanted? No one's on the phone. No one's on the phone. I'm ordering for me, and that's how it goes.
That's what I used to happen at this Chinese restaurant here. I would order a bunch of stuff because I don't mind a couple days worth of leftovers, and she'd always be like, "How many forks?" I'm like, 4.
Martha, that is so mean. That is me down. Oh my God, I'm crying. So real.
4 fortune cookies. Such shame. I had such shame.
Fortune, listen. Once again, congratulations to you and your wife. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. Listen, y'all need to go stream Sweet and Salty. Is this
Sweet and Salty?
Sweet and Salty.
I can't talk now. Sweet and Salty, yeah.
It's Sweet and Salty, streaming on Netflix, and thank you so much, Fortune. I love you so much.
I love you. I'm so glad I got to talk to you. Thank you for chatting with me.
And when you move and you deconstruct that wall, please save the wallpaper for me.
Yes.
Send it to me. I'm gonna get a gown made in that fabric.
I cannot wait. I will put a tiara on you while you're not in that gown.
Thank you. Have a good day, my love. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You too.
Alrighty. That's all for this week, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another British Invasion. Patty and I are gonna start to decorate this wall. We were gonna throw something on here today, but it just didn't work out. We'll find something. Although, not us putting holes in the fucking apartment wall.
You're the one that just suggested putting holes. That's what I was saying.
So what are you gonna put it?
You wanted to prop it up against the sofa.
What? So what's your idea? What are you gonna put on here?
Like the sticky tack stuff.
Like command strips.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's it. Next week hopefully I have some ice and some prosecco and some Crystal Light.
They don't have Crystal Light here. Remember?
I brought it from America.
Okay. Did you bring your cups?
You forgot the cups!
I didn't forget the
Oh
cups.
my God, sign off. Not hearing all our business. Sign off.